welcome to the deep dive. Today we are opening up a stack of truly unprecedented source material. We're talking internal accounts, analyses, all from collaborators deep inside U.S. military and intelligence organizations.
And our mission here is, well, it's far from theoretical. We're trying to extract what these senior figures believe is, and this is a quote, a truth we desperately need to hear and just as desperately fear to know.
Specifically, we're tackling the intersection of UAPs, phenomenon national security, and the really shocking role consciousness seems to play in this whole post-World War II era.
Right.
And here's the lens. The central theme of this whole investigation is just one word. War. It's about the U.S. defense establishment's reaction to finding and then having to deal with advanced non-human technology.
The subject is, as our sources put it, flying fucking saucers.
Right.
But the stakes are, they're existential.
Okay, so the documents, they demand a pretty radical shift in thinking from you, the listener. They argue that the inexplicable, sometimes just bizarre actions of global intelligence agencies for 70-plus years. That's not some simple conspiracy.
No, not at all. It's the result of technological societies like us all confronting the same profound non-human presence. They have a term for it.
Which is?
The metatechnical phenomenon.
Okay, let's stop there. Metatechnical. We have to unpack that because that sounds like some very high-level jargon.
It is, but it's the critical framing for everything that follows. When they say metatechnical, they mean this. This presence, it operates across disciplines that we keep separate.
So it's not just a physical object, not just a metal disc like a plane.
Exactly. It's physical, it's psychological, and it's informational, all at the same time. It's a reality that literally interacts with the person observing it, with the landscape, with your mind.
A non-human, non-linear intelligence.
Yes. And that understanding that it defies our neat little boxes of hardware, that's what shapes the entire security state from the very beginning.
All right, so to really get why all the secrecy started, we have to go back to one pivotal year, 1947.
1947, this is where the modern national security state and the UFO era were born, basically simultaneously.
I mean, it's an insane historical coincidence.
It's more than a coincidence. Our sources say it's structural. You have the Roswell crash, right? The alleged recovery of non-human tech happens in July of 47.
And then, just a few weeks later,
the National Security Act is signed into law. It completely overhauls the U.S. defense structure. You get the Department of Defense, an independent U.S. Air Force, and, critically,
the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yes. So this brand new security state was immediately handed what was potentially the greatest secret in human history.
And the irony is just, it's incredible. This new, powerful machine was built on a foundation imported directly from the enemy we'd just defeated.
Precisely. Operation Paperclip. We brought in thousands, not dozens, you have to understand, thousands of former Nazi scientists and engineers, and we put them in key positions.
This wasn't just getting Wernher von Braun for the rocket program.
No, it was a mass importation of advanced expertise. And here's the direct insight that connects it all. One of the key figures brought in, General Walter Dornberger, a former Nazi rocket specialist. He was assigned to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio.
In July 1947.
In July 1947. And that matters because Wright Field, now Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, is the exact location where the Roswell debris was supposedly shipped for analysis.
So the implication is that the earliest, most sensitive UAP investigations were likely handled, at least in part, by the very people the U.S. military suspected might have created them in the first place.
Exactly. The former Nazi rocket engineers. Because what did those flying saucers look like?
Right. Just weeks before Roswell, you had the Kenneth Arnold sighting. That's what coined the term flying saucers. And what he drew, what he described.
A lenticular flying wing shape?
It was incredibly similar to the radical aircraft designs that the Nazi Horton brothers had perfected.
And that similarity just dictated the entire initial U.S. military reaction. The theory in 1947 wasn't, oh my God, it's aliens.
No, it was, the Russians got the best Nazi designs, and now they're beating us in a secret weapons race.
That possibility of a terrestrial enemy with that kind of tech, it created absolute panic.
So the military launches its first study, Project Sign, in 1948 to figure this out. And the documents confirm that Project Sign came to a conclusion.
They did. Their final estimate was that the UFOs were non-terrestrial. They concluded they were not Soviet.
And this is the moment. This is when the cover-up really cements itself.
Officially, yes, because that conclusion was deemed completely unacceptable by Air Force General Hoyt Vandenberg. The report that supported it, the estimate of the situation, was ordered to be destroyed,
And then Project Sound was scrapped.
scrapped, and replaced with Project Grudge, which had a very specific task to systematically debunk and discredit sightings. The message was crystal clear. We will not publicly talk about what we can't control or fight with conventional weapons.
Speaking of things the military couldn't control, let's pivot from spies and jets to the just truly bizarre high IQ cabal that built the foundation of the U.S. space program.
It reads like a defense contractor org chart that got accidentally merged with a 1940s occult society. It's wild.
The best example has to be Jack Parsons.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a foundational figure in American rocketry, a co-founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, a pioneer.
And at the same time, he's a devoted practitioner and leader in Aleister Crowley's magical order, the Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO.
He literally proclaimed himself the Antichrist.
So you have the father of modern space travel who's also running this deeply esoteric, ritualistic society. And this wasn't some side hobby in a basement. This was happening right at the nexus of defense R&D.
The overlap is profound, especially in 1946, just before the whole UAP era kicks off. Parsons takes part in this notorious ritual called the Babylon Working.
And his partner in this strange magical endeavor.
L. Ron Hubbard, the future founder of Scientology.
And their stated goal, according to these sources, was incredibly specific. It was to contact non-human entities to try and create a hybrid creature on Earth.
And that's the core insight here. The documents suggest that the origins of modern high science, of our quest for space, were structurally tangled up with these ritualistic attempts at non-human contact.
They describe it as, and this is chilling, an alien abduction scenario, but initiated by humans, in reverse.
It just reveals this deep structural flaw in the early space program. High science was built on a foundation of, well, esoteric chaos.
And this strange circle was also incredibly vulnerable. I mean, just a massive security risk.
A huge one. Parsons' mentor was a man named Dr. Theodore von Karman. He was the chair of the Armed Forces Scientific Advisory Group. This guy had his hands on everything.
And his office became the target of a Soviet spy named William Pearl.
And this was happening right in the middle of the 1948 panic over Russian flying saucers. Pearl managed to photograph, get this, 1,885 pages of classified U.S. aerospace, atomic, and weapons documents, right from von Karman's office.
So you've got a situation where the U.S. defense research community is simultaneously trying to contact interdimensional beings.
And harboring a major Soviet mole.
All while trying to figure out if the craft they're seeing are Russian or actually alien. It's just complete cognitive overload.
So we have to move past the physical hardware, the metal disc, and look at the philosophical core of what the phenomenon represents. The sources insist this is a meta-science problem.
It's both physical and tragically supernatural. An artifact of two separate realities just colliding.
And this pushes us to a really radical redefinition of ourselves. The idea here is that consciousness isn't just an output of the, 3-pound brain in your skull.
Right. It might be an emerging property of something much larger, something that connects everything, like a universal software.
And if the others operate on that level, then our inability to grasp the non-physical nature of consciousness isn't just a scientific failing. It's a critical vulnerability just waiting to be exploited.
And U.S. intelligence recognized that vulnerability early on, even if they defined it differently. After the Korean War, the U.S. became deeply paranoid about brainwashing.
Right, the idea that the enemy could psychologically condition U.S. soldiers or assets, that was terrifying to them.
This specific fear, it inspired the creation of the government's most infamous mind control programs. Operation Bluebird, Artichoke.
And of course, MKUltra. They were desperate to understand and then weaponize the manipulation of the human mind.
But here is where the occult and the deep state just tragically intersect. The sources bring in a Dr. Andrija Puharic. Starting in 1952, he was running experiments with psychics who were channeling something called the 9 principles and forces.
Supposedly non-terrestrial entities operating from a spacecraft. Puharic was basically seeking telepathic contact with the source of the phenomenon.
And this is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, terrifying. Two key members of Puharic's inner circle, Arthur Young and Ruth Forbes Payne Young, were related by marriage to Ruth Hyde Payne.
Ruth Hyde Payne. You need to understand the gravity of that name.
She was the woman who housed Lee Harvey Oswald's Russian-born wife, Marina Oswald, in Dallas. She also stored the Mannlicher Carcano rifle, the one used in the JFK assassination, in her garage.
This places the JFK assassination, the seminal tragedy in modern American politics, directly adjacent to a group that was actively channeling non-human intelligence.
And when Ruth Paine testified before the Warren Commission, the group investigating the assassination, she was interrupted.
Yes. Former CIA Director Alan Dulles, a commission member and a man deeply involved in post-war espionage and MKUltra, he reportedly cut her testimony short.
Right when she started talking about her trip to visit the Young and Forbes family.
He derailed the entire line of questioning that linked the occult, UAP channeling, and the assassination. The implication from these documents is that ongoing contact with the phenomenon might not just be detrimental, but that a hostile force at work in the world, but not necessarily of the world, was linked to this nexus.
And the highest levels of the U.S. security state work to bury it. I mean, that requires some time to process.
It does. It suggests the intelligence response wasn't just about hiding technology. It was about suppressing information that fundamentally challenged the nature of reality itself and national sovereignty.
So let's transition now to the threat paradigm. Because regardless of their origins, the former intelligence and military people in this analysis, they assess the phenomenon almost entirely through the lens of threat.
And we can't assume human standards of morality or ethics apply here. We have no idea about the intentions of the others.
Which leads them to some deeply troubling hypotheses about what the phenomenon is actually doing on Earth. Specifically, they suggest something they call low-frequency terrorism.
And what falls under that category?
Cattle mutilations and alien abductions. Think about it. These events involve intrusive physical acts, fluid extractions. But there's no clear utilitarian purpose. They aren't stealing a cow for food.
The document suggests these are demonstrations of capacity. They are acts of terrorism designed to instill a deep, insidious fear and doubt in the population.
It shows that the phenomenon could perform large-scale annihilation.
But chooses not to. Instead, it demonstrates total control at the individual level, the agricultural level. It's all about psychological domination.
Okay, so what about the contactees who seem benign? The ones who insist the alien just wants to help us avoid nuclear war or climate collapse.
That view, as comforting as it might be, is assessed as a potential form of psychological warfare. These contactees, however sincere they are, could unwittingly be serving as a fifth column.
Contributing to a larger campaign designed to lower humanity's guard.
Exactly. You welcome the supposed helper while completely ignoring the inherent power imbalance, the colonizer dynamic.
This brings us to the ultimate vulnerability, and it's framed by this metaphor of the panopticon.
Jeremy Bentham's circular prison design, right? Where the prisoner knows they might be observed at any time, but they never know for sure if they are being observed.
In humanity, according to this analysis, is living in that panopticon. We're being observed and experimented on by an unseen alien master.
And the sightings, the physical metallic tic-tacs, the saucers, those are just shadows projected onto the wall of our cell. They're designed to manage our perception, not to engage us in a fair fight.
So what are the chains that are preventing us from seeing the panopticon's master?
The sources call it our Neanderthal conception of threat assessment, meaning we focus exclusively on kinetic threats.
Bullets, bombs, missiles.
We are always ready to fight the last war. But the phenomenon wages an informational and psychological war, and it bypasses our defenses completely.
The technical evidence absolutely supports this vulnerability. The phenomenon has effortlessly demonstrated capabilities that just dwarf our most advanced military systems.
They can bypass our encrypted launch codes to turn nuclear missile sites on or off at will.
Or look at the USS Nimitz Tic Tac incident. They knew the military's rendezvous point in advance, even though that location was chosen by a heavily encrypted computer algorithm seconds before the rendezvous.
The conclusion from this analysis is stark, and it's absolute. We have no secrets from the others. Our most classified systems are completely transparent to them.
So, what does this all mean for us? For the people inside the panopticon? We've covered physics, occultism, Nazi spies, political assassination. I mean, to even begin to understand this, you have to look through these highly unconventional lenses.
Including the historical experiences of, say, colonized peoples who have had to deal with overwhelming, technologically superior foreign forces.
And if the phenomenon truly exists, it presents an intelligence problem. It's not just a hardware science problem.
Right. We need to stop focusing on the metallic disk and start analyzing the psychological software element. the intent, the non-physical manipulation, the management of human perception.
If the conflict is indeed waged in the arena of consciousness, because these things don't fire tactical weapons, but they still pose an existential threat by just showing total control and violating sovereignty, then our greatest vulnerability is. It's internal.
And the documents, they return to this one final provocative point about human division. They suggest this ultimate vulnerability is the demonstrably uneven development of our bicameral minds.
For anyone not familiar, that's the theory that humanity once experienced one side of the brain getting instructions from the other, often perceived as the voice of gods or some external intelligence.
So they're arguing that our current state of mind, our deep internal division, our inability to unify our conscious and subconscious understanding of reality, that is the fatal flaw being exploited.
All right.
I mean, if humanity is still fighting over religion and race after millennia of civilization, how can we possibly coordinate an intelligent, unified response to a non-human, metatechnical reality? The greatest threat isn't the craft, it's the fact that our own internal structure prevents us from dealing with the situation intelligently. That's the daunting question you're left with.